How hard is it actually for clinicians to become founders? I mean, we know clinicians do really hard work on a day-to-day basis, but the way clinicians work and the way founders work is very different. We're often part of a bigger system and we're very used to executing a job really well, whereas founding something means starting from scratch, means getting buy-in, getting people to give you their energy, give you their time, and believe in what you believe. But it also means being a good leader, which clinicians do well. So how hard is it actually to go from being a clinician to becoming a founder? Here's the thing. I think going on the journey to become a founder is like taking a very long road trip. And it's a very difficult road trip, and you're worried whether you're going to run into potholes, whether your car's going to break down, whether you've got enough fuel for the whole journey. And that destination that you initially thought you're going to head to quickly becomes really scary and full of potholes and hurdles, and it just seems safer to stay where you are. And that's often what happens to most of us. We work in a system where we're at a unique position, helping people on a day-to-day basis, at the same time working within a system that's struggling across the globe. And that's where many ideas come from for founders. And that's why I think clinicians make fantastic founders, because we know the problem so well. So hi, I'm Shub. I'm an emergency physician and an executive coach helping clinicians become founders. And I want to talk to you about what it's really like to take that journey from being a clinician to becoming a founder. And how do you do it without risking everything you've already built, without losing the credibility of a career, and actually unlocking the ability to have freedom from spending your time for money, being in a particular location to get paid, and be able to give to the world what you really thought you would love giving. So when I had this chat with my coaching cohort, the Clinician Impact Actionship, I came up with the analogy of this journey, right? And I said, on this journey, you've got a destination and you've got a vehicle and you've got some fuel for the way that you get there. And we often start off with mapping what the next few checkpoints are. And we think that if we hit those checkpoints, we're on the right direction, we're in the right path to get to our destination. And that's very much thinking like a clinician, because as doctors, nurses, physios, dietitians, pharmacists, we've come from a very academic background. We've done well in our studies. We've done well when it comes to exams. And that's kind of the only model of a career we've known. We've kind of said, okay, we study hard, give an exam, get a job, do another exam, get a certification, get a better job, do another exam, get another certification, get another job. That's generally how most of our careers have progressed. And now suddenly we're doing something where there aren't any exams and there aren't any certifications and there aren't any accreditations. So it's a really different model, and we kind of fall back on the only way we know how to look at the world. So we say, oh, we're going to become a founder. What are the courses I can do? And what are the accreditations I can do? How do I learn more about AI to try and start an AI company? And that's really not necessarily the path that you need to take. If you feel like doing that, please go ahead. But I don't think that's the wisest use of your time. So what ends up happening is that we spend so much time on plotting these next few checkpoints, assuming that if we cross those checkpoints, we're going to get to the next and next level. And we spend so much time on that initial bit, but not enough time in actually figuring out what the destination is, whether the destination's actually where we want to head to, and whether the destination will be where we want to be when we actually get there. Those are some of the hard questions that perhaps we haven't even asked about our career. We didn't imagine medicine to be the way it is now when we started it even 10 years ago. And the same thing can happen when you take this founder journey. You think that, oh, I'm going to create this amazing product, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to be a millionaire. But do you really want to be a millionaire? Do you really want to sell a product? Are you more of a person who wants to build a community? Do you want to be known for something rather than have lots of money behind you? Those are the kind of questions that are more valuable in figuring this out. So going back to that chart and that picture we talked about in the action ship, you've got the North Star. That's the direction you want to be heading in. You've got the car, which is the vehicle. The vehicle is the way you're going to get to your destination. And then you've got fuel. And what you ideally want is to kind of have endless fuel for the journey, so that you can go through all the trials and errors, so that you can keep going past the point at which it actually starts to grow and go through the dip and finally get to a point where you're seeing an impact of the work that you've put in over at least 18 months at the very least. So what is that star? How do you figure out what that star is? So that star is your mission and your vision. So how do you figure out what your vision is? You got to really think, what's something that's frustrating me right now? And if that changed, what would the world look like? And sometimes you might think that you as a child, so when you were a child, what did you imagine the world to look like when you became an adult? And now that you're an adult, is that there? Is that present, or is it missing? And why is that missing? So it's not really going to be your product, it's not going to be your service, it's not going to be your business, it's going to be the change that you want to see in the world. So for example, the idea is not to create the best pizza that attracts lots of people. The idea is to create communities. The idea is not to be a coach that's providing amazing and excellent, accredited, award-winning coaching services, which I do anyway, but which I do, but that's not the idea. The idea is to help clinicians become founders and reach the fullest potential in their lives, right? So the change you want to see is the vision statement, and you got to get really crystal clear on what that is. What is the one change you want to be working towards on this founder journey? Because you can't take a road to multiple destinations. You got to have one, right? The next thing is the mission, and the mission is what action do you want people to take to make that vision come to life, right? So the vision is to have communities of people coming together. The mission is to have everybody recognize the value of communities, right? So the vision is for clinicians to become founders, and the mission is to have every clinician know how to become a founder and whether the kind of clinician to become a founder. And then we can go into lots of examples. If you look at any sort of company, if you Google it, if you ask ChatGPT for a list of common missions and visions, it'll give you a flavor of what's going on. So once you've got a vision of a future state, that's your North Star. You've got a mission that lights up the North Star and the action that people take to make your vision come to life. So that's the final destination you want to be heading to. So what is the vehicle? What is the vehicle made of? The vehicle is a combination of who you are, your experiences, your unique skills, your strengths, and the kind of platform that you're able to create. And again, often we end up trying to we see somebody else's platform working really well. So we say, oh, let's go and learn that platform and use that platform. And we kind of discredit everything else that we've done so far. And I think that's the absolutely wrong approach, because you're going to start from scratch. You're going to start with zero credibility, and you're going to be trying to build in an area where you're not experienced and you're not an expert. So what is the area that you're experienced at? And you might be like, oh, Shub, I'm a doctor. I've been doing respiratory medicine for the last 20 years. How do I translate that? No, respiratory medicine is just the title and the tag. Underneath that is so much more. So it's all the communication skills. It's all the speaking skills. It's the analytical skills. It's your ability to influence people, right? If you do a Gallup strength assessment, which is what I do with my one-on-one clients, we do an in-depth Gallup strength assessment that gives you a validated feedback on what your skills are. How do you comprehend information in the world? How do you influence the people around you? How do you build relationships? And how do you actually execute the tasks that come to you? And you do it in a unique way. You will have a unique combination of these strengths. And those are what create the chassis for your car, right? Once you figure that out, you've got a car to take on this journey. You've got a North Star with the direction you want to be heading. And then you want some endless fuel, right? This one is the most fantastic. The endless fuel is simply your why, your purpose. If you've got a very clear understanding of your purpose and a purpose that aligns with your North Star, it gives you endless fuel for the journey. And I'm not going to talk too much about this in this video. Perhaps I'll do another one if you'd like it. But if you search for Simon Sinek, start with why, read his book, listen to his talk about the Golden Circle. He talks about how, as human beings, we all care about and invest in why people do things, not exactly what they do. So if you've got a clear purpose, if you've got a clear why, that's a way for others to come to you and realize that you're worth investing in, but it's also a way for you to have enough fuel for an endless journey so that you can get through all the potholes you need to. You can keep going beyond the difficult bits. You can push through and make sense of what's going on until you've got enough data points to figure out what's going on. And that's really the magical bit to this formula. So you've got your North Star, you've got a vehicle, and you've got endless fuel. And once you've got those three things, it doesn't really matter what path you take. It doesn't matter what journey you're on. You might find roadblocks in one place and you'll go another direction. You've also not got Google Maps helping you through this journey. So you've not got a pre-navigated route. Some of you might, depending on if you've got the right mentor And if you're doing something that's been done over and over again before, you might have a Google Maps kind of outline map for you to follow, but majority of you founding something really meaningful will not. And that means holding up a paper and trying to figure out which direction you're heading in. And if this road's closed, which other road can you take? And that means needing to take a longer path than just a connection from A to B. It means going in various ways, unexpected ways, listening to what the market is telling you, listening to what people are telling you, and converting that into a journey that's really exciting, really fun, and doesn't give you the fear of running out of fuel, doesn't give you the fear of hitting potholes, doesn't give you the fear of losing your credibility, because everything you've done until now creates your car that also feeds into your why and your purpose, which is actually likely going to be something that you're fueled by in your current job right now. And a North Star that really creates a vision, creates a future that this world needs today. And just the magic of being able to bring that together is something unreal. I've seen it with many of my clients. I've seen Malappa realize that doing plastic surgery wasn't just the only way in which he could make a difference in the world. He could make loads of money off the back of it. But he realized his unique ability was in inspiring others to create their own private facilities and create their own version, their own little bubble of healthcare that aligned with their values. And it's been amazing to see him do that. It was in seeing Akshay realize that his experience in emergency medicine, including his burnout, just gelled naturally with his ability to be a simulation educator and helped him create mental simulation. I've seen it with Laura, who time and time again took new projects and delved into new passions and was a very quick learner. But until we worked together in the action ship, it hadn't come together in the way it has now for her to realize that what she's good at and what she loves doing is to create spaces for people to come together. And she's got passion in AI, and she loves healthcare, and she loves value-driven care. And she's making some really great moves on LinkedIn. So if you haven't found it, check out Laura Lake on LinkedIn. She's doing some amazing things, creating digital spaces for clinicians and for other people that are helping improve the healthcare environment and the healthcare space. So go check out these people, check out my podcast, the Clinician Founder Podcast, to hear about how other people have taken on this journey and how they've achieved success as well. And if you're curious about becoming a clinician founder yourself, check out my quiz in the description below. And if you like this video, you're going to like this other one. See you next time.